two 8/4 pieces. I put a groove down the middle and glued them up. Sized the piece that would hold the top of the music stand. Made that so that it could tilt and be held in place. Put it on the lathe and turned it. As you can see, I have a pretty modest benchtop lathe. I'm capable enough doing spindle turning. I have no experience at all doing bowl turning. There's a pedestal, the blanks for the legs. I did sliding dovetails using a jig and a router rather than trying to cut them by hand. Got it glued up without anything binding or, I don't know if you'll all agree with me, but for me, the most stressful part of every project is the glue up, always. Much harder than anything else, especially for something like this where, you know, if the legs bind in those dovetails, they're not angled dovetails, they're, you know, just simple sliding dovetails. So if they're too tight, you can't bang them home. That's it, the whole thing's trash. The panels for the music stand top are veneered, so bird's eye maple veneer. I use a dry veneer method, usually just clamp things up. I use veneer glue because it dries more rigidly than ordinary Titebond, and I find that it's been utterly reliable. So glue ups are pretty simple. For putting together the top part of the stand, I actually use splines, which made for very simple, straightforward construction. They're all the parts. I tend to pre-finish almost everything. I find that I hardly ever finish a piece only after it's completely assembled. So there's everything getting pre-finished. It was dyed with an aniline dye, sanded, shellacked. I use shellac for almost all of my projects. If I'm doing a tabletop, then I'll follow it up with some kind of a varnish. But even then, I tend to use shellac, de-wax shellac. Little parts for holding the stand in place. And there it is. I've actually made a second of these. When I posted pictures of the first one, I got a second commission from a violinist. And then last year, somebody who plays with a string quartet asked me if I'd be interested in making 4. And I actually said no. You know, doing things repeatedly well, you'll see in a minute. Some things I like to make over and over. This is a pretty daunting project. It would typically take me, I'm guessing probably about 100 hours or 120 hours in the shop. So making a lot of them is not something I find very appealing.